Welcome back to the Plus Side of Nashville, everybody. Well, as we look ahead to the new year, a lot of people have set goals for ways they can improve their lives. For some, that might include kicking an addiction of some sort. Alcoholism is one of the most difficult addictions to overcome, and it affects millions of Americans. Fortunately, treatment for alcohol addiction does work. And here to talk about a residential treatment facility here in Tennessee that is seeing a great deal of success in the area of substance abuse is Lee Pepper, who's with the Foundation's Recovery Network. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So we talk about you're with the Foundation's Recovery Network. You're based here in Brentwood.
Yes.
However, you have residential treatment facilities all around the country.
Right, we're a nationwide treatment company, but we just happen to have been founded in Nashville in 1995.
Yeah.
And so we have all of our centralized offices are in Brentwood. So if you call in to ask a question or to get help, you're talking to somebody in Brentwood.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Yes.
That's fun. Okay, so La Paloma
Yes.
is probably the one that's closest to us here in Nashville. It's in Memphis.
Yes.
And so you work with folks who suffer from drug, alcohol abuse, but also with mental illness issues. Do you find, do the two often go hand in hand?
Right, we focus on dual diagnosis. So we want to look at the substance abuse. We also want to look at any mental health issues. And the way we like to frame it is, when it comes to addiction is, you know, are you drinking because you're depressed, or are you depressed because you drink? And we really feel that treating both of those in the same setting provides the best outcomes.
Okay. Well, so many people, I think, you know, we've seen so many celebrities in and out of recovery. They're out for a while. They say clean and sober for a while, but then they're back in. It is a difficult illness. Addiction is an extremely difficult illness to kick, and it is a disease which some people may be skeptical about.
I was just reading before we came on air, Diana, who is one of our heroes in recovery, and in her story, she talks about the first time she went into treatment, she started planning her relapse the first week of treatment. And so I think that that happens. We certainly, when people come to us, we're not their first stop many times.
Yeah.
We've seen people that have gone through other programs that didn't work for them. And that's why we really believe in what we call individualized care. And it's not a cookie cutter approach. When you come in to one of our programs, or if we refer you to a program that's kind of a sister program, you know, we want to try to meet you where you're at. And we want to create that individualized approach, because there are so many issues, especially around mental health. And that word scares people.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people that will call in and they'll say, well, you know, hold on, I'm drinking too much, but I'm not crazy. But when you really start to explain it and you start to kind of peel that onion, they start to realize that it could be depression, it could be trauma, anxiety. Those are all the kind of issues that then exacerbate the addiction.
Right, and there's many people who don't recognize that they are in the midst of depression.
Right, absolutely.
Clinical depression, and they may not even recognize that.
Right, absolutely. And we're seeing just a big increase right now around pain management. And we're seeing a lot of people that go in for surgery, and through no fault of their own, because they're trying to manage their pain, they develop an addiction. And what happens is, because of the stigmas that are associated with the addiction, it gets worse and worse. They're not able to really process it and find the right help they need.
And speaking of stigma, which is a great segue, you all are trying to help rid that stigma that's attached to addiction. And you've started a program called Heroes in Recovery.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about this movement that you've started, and why do you think it's important that we talk about addiction in order to remove the stigma?
Right. There are 22 million Americans each year that need drug and alcohol or mental health services, yet only 3 million actively seek help. And over the years, we have felt that we do a very good job, you know, marketing ourselves to the 3 million who are seeking help. And so we see that ourselves and our competitors, we've all got pretty brochures. We all have great clinical programs. We have great amenities, beautiful facilities, great aftercare. But we were kind of ignoring the 19 million people that are suffering and cannot pick up the phone, can't walk in and get help. So we started working internally to come up with some ideas of how can we reach these 19 million people. And what's interesting is Betty Ford, she had just passed away. And we got to thinking about, wow, Betty Ford in 1974 came out that she had breast cancer. And then 2 years later, she came out that she was addicted to alcohol. And we got to looking, fast forward 30 years, and breast cancer and addiction have gone very divergent paths in America. And we wanted to say, what can we do to create a program where people could actually share their stories, inspire people to then go get help? Because that's what we felt that Betty Ford and Susan G. Komen did with breast cancer. We see what Bono and others have done with AIDS and the Red campaign. We see what Lance Armstrong has done with Live Strong. And so we feel like with Heroes in Recovery that we want this word-of-mouth grassroots movement to do the same with addiction.
Wow, that is powerful.
It's a tall order.
It is a tall order, but I can definitely understand what you mean. Because if you do feel sort of ostracized, if you feel like people ostracize you because they feel like you have this addiction issue, then you might not want to talk about it. But if you just go ahead and talk about it, and that's that less stress, it may not prompt you to be depressed, it may not prompt you to want to drink.
Right.
Or use drugs.
And you mentioned earlier about relapse. And what's interesting is when you talk about relapse when it comes to cancer, you don't get the same reaction from people that you do when you talk about relapse with addiction. Sure. But it's still an illness. But we somehow, in society, we view you as relapsing on an addiction as you weren't strong enough, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. But we would never say that if somebody relapsed with cancer. So a lot of it's about educating people, and I think that people that are in recovery, and certainly everybody's different on where they can share, but we wanted to create a platform that if folks were comfortable and they felt inspired to share their story, that they could. And that folks would then be able to find those stories and read them, and maybe there's a nugget in one of those stories that somebody identifies with, inspires them to then go get help somewhere.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, you even have a positive spin on the name, Heroes in Recovery. Why did you decide to call these folks heroes?
We did a lot of work creating these different pathways with how we thought people would react to kind of our mission. And one thing that kept coming back for us as we were kind of working with all these different ideas was that there's lots of people involved in somebody getting help. So you've got the individual who is suffering with addiction. You've got the family members, the loved ones who are involved. You've got friends, you've got church, you've got business owners. And so we really felt that with the word heroes, that we're able to encompass all of those different folks that are critical to that person getting help, and then also critical to them succeeding when they get home. And so when we came up with the Heroes concept, it's not just for the person who is in recovery themselves, but it's for all those many people. It's the grandmother who agrees to watch the children while their son or daughter gets help. It's the CEO, the small business owner who keeps that person's job for 30 or 60 days while they go get help. It's the running group who sees something going on with their running partner and encourages them to get help.
You're absolutely right, because alcoholism or drug addiction affects the whole family.
Absolutely.
It doesn't just affect that person, it affects the whole family, and we know that, and studies have shown that the families often need to go through counseling, the children, and so on and so forth. And
it's so critical. We have, in our program, we have family weekends where we actually invite the families to actually fly or drive down and spend the weekend not only with the patient, but at our facility and with the therapist, learning, giving them the tools to help their loved one when they come back from treatment.
Wow. So if someone wanted to get involved with your program, what would they need to do, Lee?
Well, the easiest thing to do is go to heroesinrecovery.com. And if you can't remember that URL, maybe it'll be on your website, but you can easily Google that and find us. And the best thing is to read some of the stories, and if you feel comfortable, share your story, because we really believe that there'll be a critical mass that'll happen when we get a certain amount of stories to where this will start to become more in the public eye, and to also kind of help seed the movement. We did a 6K in Nashville in September, National Recovery Month. It was a big success. And so we're going to do 6 of those next year in different communities. We're going to do one in Atlanta and Palm Springs.
Great. Well, we're going to make sure we do. If anybody's interested, we'll make sure that information, we'll be able to get that out to them. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Keep up the good work.
Absolutely, we will.
I want to also thank our earlier guests for being here from the Pencil Foundation and Deloitte. And thank you for watching. I'm Tawanda Coleman, and I'll see you next time.
That was 10 minutes?
That was 10
Isn't
minutes.
that amazing?
Now, they're going to... I
Well,
love those
cool
glasses. Those are the coolest glasses. While I was talking to her, I was thinking, I really like those glasses. Those are so cool.
I should get a cut from all the glasses I'm sure I've sold. Also my laptop cover.
Oh, well, you
It's
got
like
a cool
book.
laptop cover
It's like a
too?
book. It's actually a laptop
Oh
cover.
my goodness. He just needs to take us shopping with him. Look at that.
I was complimenting you on a suit earlier.
That is so cool. I thought that was a book.
I know.
That
See,
is
nobody's
so,
going to steal that. They're going to break in my
you're
car
right.
and they're going to go, oh, who
But
wants
that's
this book?
smart.
Yeah.
Nobody would, I don't think.